Do you feel lost in your career? You are not alone because everyone has felt it, me included. Here's what's actually gonna help you move forward. Hey friends, welcome back to the Work Happier podcast. My name is Shodawan. I am your work hype man, and I wanna see you get hired, get paid, and get happy in your career. So with that, let's get right into it. I wanna start off with actually a DM that I got from one of our subscribers, Kim, and here's what she had to say. Hey Sho, I've been feeling so stuck. I don't know what to do with my career anymore. I've been in the same job now for 7 years, but I feel lost. I thought this was the path I wanted, but now I'm questioning everything. I keep thinking maybe I missed my chance to do something different. Maybe this is just it for me. I'm scared to start over, but staying feels just as scary. So Kim, let me just first start off and say, you are not alone. Everyone that you think is killing it and rising up and doing all these amazing things, I can 100% guarantee you, they've also felt these things. And you know who else has felt this way? Me, myself, and I've also felt this way as well. Because going back to my own example, I felt this even when I was starting out my career. I started off my career in the Big Four. I was doing management consulting at EY. And I remember working so damn hard for this offer. I remember going to USC and crashing their college fairs. I remember driving to UCLA and handing in my resume as a UCLA student. I remember breaking into Claremont McKenna open fairs and just like meeting recruiters there. I did everything I could to break into consulting. So just a little bit of a side note, I went to UC Irvine, a really good public school in California, but for business majors and for people trying to break into corporate careers, we didn't get that much attention. I think we got a couple of consulting firms coming out to us, but if Big Four was recruiting for us, it was always audit, tax, accounting stuff. So if we wanted to break into consulting and advisory and strategy stuff, we had to find new ways to break in. So that's exactly what I did as a student. So when I eventually got my offers in consulting, I got an offer from Mercer, I got an offer from Deloitte, I got an offer from EY, a couple of other boutiques. I went with EY and they gave me an offer of $70,000 in New York City. And again, I'm 22 years old. And this was the most amount of money I have ever seen at that point. $70,000 for a kid. My parents and I, we didn't have much growing up. So when I got this offer and I was living in this big city, I was like, I made it. I'm here. This is my quote unquote dream job. But that feeling so quickly went away. And nothing against Big Four Consulting, nothing against EY. But I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the prestige and status and maybe even the money, which I for sure did. And I very quickly realized like, this is probably not it for me long term. So I stayed at EY for 3 years. And it was at that point where I was also feeling stuck. I just remember feeling so like paralyzed by all these thoughts I had because even though I was 25, 26 and I had all these options in front of me, but because I had so many options, I didn't do anything. I just stayed put and I was just getting more and more miserable at my consulting job, traveling every week. What I realized from that situation and what I see actually across the board from so many other people who are in that situation, typically we don't have a purpose problem. It's not like we have a who am I in this grand scheme of things. It's not necessarily that problem. The problem that you currently have is a movement problem. We are often so stuck because we want everything to be perfect and because there's just so many different options out there in front of you. So I just want to help you reframe your thoughts right now, Kim. And first of all, it's a blessing to have options. Right? It's like, it's so great to have options, but it becomes a curse when you have too many options. And because you have too many options, you can never make a decision. So what I have found that has worked for me and what I have found that has worked for others is not necessarily thinking about our problems like this, but is actually just taking any sort of action towards it and breaking down that bigger problem of what do I do in this world and just making it smaller and making it into a bite-sized little steps that we can actually take. And I have found this one common denominator from the people who actually get ahead and actually do things. They aren't waiting for a sign to actually hit go. They take messy action. They try things and fail. They don't just ponder and think about what they should do. They actually try doing lots of different micro steps until they figure out a path that works. So now I want to bring the attention to you, Kim, and anyone else watching this. The first thing you have to do is you have to understand why is it that you feel stuck? Because you can't fix what you haven't identified, what you haven't named. Is it the company? Is it the industry? Is it the role? Is it other shit outside of work? Is it your family? Is it your spouse? Because most times it's not everything, right? If I were to ask you, Kim, describe to me about your job and what you like and what you don't like. I'm sure you have things that you like. I'm sure you have things that you don't like. But what you really got to do in this situation is get clear on what is it that you feel is keeping you stuck? What is it that really needs to change? I want you to watch this, take notes, and if you get value from this episode, please send it to a friend, please save it, please hit subscribe, please all do those things, hit the thumbs up, the hearts, whatever you gotta do. But let's get this out to more people so they can also find happiness in their career. And if you ever have any questions, any DMs, email us at podcast@workhap.com. So I wanna show you an example of actually one of our followers, Lorraine, who actually DM'd me something that I thought could bring a lot of value to you and to anybody else watching this. So this is what Lorraine said. Hey, Sho, I used to obsess over job titles and company names. I thought if I landed something impressive, I'd feel better. But it never worked. Then I sat down and got really honest with myself. And I realized I wasn't bored. I just felt invisible. That's when it clicked. I finally asked my manager to move into a more client-facing role. I was nervous, but now I feel alive again at work. I actually look forward to my days now. Man, I love reading stuff like that because it just goes to show, right? Like when we're in our head, the whole world feels like nothing's working. The whole world feels like it's out to get us and we're the only one in the situation. But as you have heard from Lorraine, Kim, even from myself, so many people, if not everybody, feel stuck at some point in their lives and careers. So let's talk about what Lorraine did here that shifted for her that I think that could apply for you as well. One of the things that I think Lorraine did really well is she stopped guessing. Right? She wasn't like, oh, I'm miserable in my job. Should I get a new role to do? She was like, you know what? I feel stuck and I feel invisible. Let me try something different. I think the key word that she said was, I felt invisible. So maybe she actually just wanted more human interaction. Maybe she's like an extrovert stuck in an introvert role. So that's why when she said that she's now in a client-facing role, I think she's in a sales role, I think, if I remember correctly. That's the role for her, right? Now she's meeting clients. Now she's maybe taking people out to dinner and smoozing them a little bit. And maybe that's part of her personality. Maybe she likes doing that. The same thing that Lorraine did is something that you can also apply for your career. You don't have to blow everything up and be like, yeah, this XYZ career path is not for me. It's just maybe a micro shift, maybe just a new pivot to the same company, same team, maybe a different role. So before you make any big drastic moves, you want to ask yourself, what exactly is making me feel stuck? What exactly is making me feel invisible? Because once you understand what's actually draining your energy, you can actually then do something about it. So for Lorraine, it went from maybe being in a isolated, just a IC role to now being in a client-facing role. Maybe for you, you're using too much of your left brain when you should really be using more of your right brain. Maybe you're a numbers person and you have been a numbers person for 10, 15 years, but you're like, you know what? I'm actually a creative at heart. I love to create things and I love to draw and I love to work with others to make something beautiful, whatever that is. But if you're not doing stuff that is actually gonna bring joy to your day-to-day, it's really going to be hard to find motivation to do your regular work 40 hours a week. The most important thing out of all this, Kim, though, is to remember that your only option is to quit. That's not true. You got so many other options. You got so many other things that you can do, but it's just about you taking these little steps and messy action to really find the solution. So next I want to talk about this DM that I got from Raven, who has tried different things, but constantly feels rejected. So this is what Raven had to say. Hello, do you have any career advice for consistent rejections and a poor career area? Interesting. I specialize in marketing and really enjoy it, but keep getting rejected and the area I live doesn't have that much for a career path. I've revamped my resume, added in keywords, etc., but nothing. My current job doesn't pay me enough to relocate. Ooh, okay. Really good question, Raven, and I want to break it down into those two questions, right? So first is any advice for consistent rejections? You know what, Raven? I mean, this is the hard part of careers is that you could literally do everything right. You could say the right things. You could apply to the right places. You could have the right network and it's still not freaking work out. So it's a tough game when you feel like all you're getting is rejections. But from my personal standpoint is people can really feel energy in the job search. People really can feel energy when you're meeting them in an interview or even just a networking call. Like people can feel that, right? And if you have been feeling that you've been consistently rejected for some time now, that energy is probably coming across even in the little interactions that you are having. So what I would suggest for you right now, Raven, I know it's hard because I can tell you're eager and I know you want things, but sometimes the best thing you could do is just to take a break. Take a breather, let your mind rest, Because if the first statement that you're saying is show, how do you deal with consistent rejections? That's already in your head. And if it's already in your head that you're getting consistently rejected, it's natural for you to act in a way that's going to be a little bit desperate. That's going to be a little bit of overcompensating the fact that you're getting rejected. And again, people can feel that. So I really just want you to take a break and remind yourself all the great wins that you do have, all the great steps that you've taken to come this far in your career. Because you wouldn't have this great marketing role right now if you weren't good. You wouldn't be able to get promoted and move your way up in your current company if you haven't done anything of value. So remember that. And when you do, and after you take a break, that's when you kind of want to go back out there and start meeting people and interviewing and doing all those things. You want to come from a place of power and knowing, I got the skills, I got the value. The company would be lucky to have me, not the other way around. Of course, you want a great job, and of course, you want to feel grateful, all those things. But I actually want you to go the other side and be like, you are missing out if you don't interview me. Your team's missing out if you don't hire me. That's the way that I want you to think about it. I know a big 180 shift from where you're currently feeling, but really, people can feel energy. And right now, I think the best thing you could do is really get your energy game high and up and vibrating with all the good feels, so that when you do get that opportunity, you can nail it and knock it out of the park. The second part is now you're talking about living in an area that doesn't prioritize your career. So if you've already tried doing things internally, right? If this is the internal route, the only other option you have is to look at external, my friend. You said it already that maybe your area doesn't prioritize that. You're already giving me clues on what my suggestion for you should be, or what you're giving yourself clues on what your suggestion should be. You probably got to move, my friend, right? You probably got to move, or you probably have to find a remote role that doesn't care where you live. But it's probably not going to be in this internal route, because like you said already, you've already tried it. You've already talked to your boss about potentially relocating. You think that your current company doesn't prioritize this path, so you have to find some place that will. So just now that you have maybe decided that external is a path, and now break that down, right? Do I want to stay in my same city and just maybe move to a new company? Do I want to stay in my same city and maybe move to a different role? Do I want to stay in my same city and just take a break completely? All of those are valid, staying in the same city, right? So take a look at that first. If you really want to stay, look at those questions first. If the answer to that is no, not really, you know what, I don't really want to stay, then you move on to, well, what else is out there? What other cities prioritize the things that I'm looking for? What other industries is really growing right now? What other roles really get the best out of me? Then you go into that list of questions. But I want you to handle this step by step until you get a solution. So my advice probably also goes for Kim and all the other DMs that we received is you are not alone here. You are right where you're supposed to be. And the fact that you're even DMing me, and the fact that you're even thinking about this, shows me that you care, shows me that you'd actually be a great value add to any new team, any company. So that's already a plus. But to recap, this is what I would do if I was in your situation to move ahead. First, we have to understand, why is it that you feel stuck? Is it the role? Is it the industry? Is it just your personal life? Whatever it is, you have to pinpoint what that is instead of just thinking, well, it's just me and it's always just been me. No, it's not the case. Understand what is the circumstance, what's the diagnosis. Pretend you're a doctor here and you're really trying to get to the root cause of the issue. The second thing is, now you look at options. And again, options are wonderful. Options are great. But you know what's not great? When you have too many options in front of you. When you have way too many doors. So instead of looking at the entire big picture, look at the next step. What is the next step that I want to do? If, for example, instead of staying internal, look at what you can do external. Instead of staying in the same city, now look at what other states or countries you want to live in. And then the final thing that I want you to take away from today, give yourself permission to pause, to take a breath, and realize that you are on your own path and you're on the right pace. You're all perfectly fine. Because remember what we talked about, energy, right? People can feel it. People can really smell it and see it and hear it from a mile away. I want you to show up when you're at your best self, and sometimes taking a breather, taking a pause, taking just some time to reflect will get you to that level up and be at your best self. So that's it from us today. Hopefully that helped you. Kim, Lorraine, Raven, if you're watching this, just know you're not behind. You're not broken, you're at the right place, and you're taking the right steps to move forward. And I love that. That's what you should be doing. If today's episode gave you peace, if it gave you direction, if it gave you a little nudge moving forward, help us spread the word, share this, forward this, like it, subscribe, do all those things so we can help even more people get hired, get paid, and get happy in their careers. And if you want your questions answered by me live on this show, email us at podcast@workhap.com, or you can send us a DM on Instagram at workhappierpod, and I will see you at the next episode.